Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, an entire season's worth of work, determination, grit, and passion is settled here tonight at Sebring. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Lights Out GT3 Weekend Showdown Race finale, part of the Breaking Bad Pushing Limits GT3 season. It has been a glorious ride here. It's been fun. And it's been very, very competitive. And it's going to be a sure shot for something legendary here tonight. We'll crown a champion. Who knows who that champion is going to be? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mac Nelson. Joining me in the booth is Mr. Brian Zinn. We are Racer Nexus Broadcast. Brian, Denny, good to see you, man. How you been?
I've been good. I just got back from Florida, slightly more north of where Sebring's located, but at Daytona Beach, the famous Rolex 24. So doing pretty good. It was a fantastic race. Arguably, Sebring is a slightly better track than Daytona is. A little bit of a hot take to start the night, but excited to get this one kicked off. As you said, it's a season finale. A champion will be crowned, and we'll find out who that will be in a little over an hour's time.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fun ride to get there. We'll pull up the season info. Not much to know here, besides the fact that we are doing a 60-minute sprint just like usual, but no track next week. This is week 8 of 8, and like Zenny said, we will crown a champion here tonight. Who will it be? Well, it can be a couple of different guys as we take a look at the championship standings. Coming into today, Jed Cotterman, that Jed Cotterman Racing Team driver, in the lead with 2,040 points. And he is going to be our only cammed up driver tonight. You can see him there in the number 7 Porsche. He is looking very, very good on track. He sits in a good spot here to start the race. Jeff Sanders going to be behind him with 1,854 points. And then it's a decently big drop down to Dennis Crosby with 1,559, with Doug Betts being right behind him with 1,545. So a little bit of disparity there, Zinny, but I think we've got a situation here. There very well could be a situation where Jed Cotterman maybe doesn't have this wrapped up.
Yeah, you look at the points lead that he's got over second place, and on the surface you think, well, maybe he's got it in hand, but as racing goes, anything can happen, and you don't have the championship wrapped up until the final say. You know, I hate to use F1 for every example, but that was certainly the case last season, where it went down to the final race, and it was only 2 points separating Lando Norris from Max Verstappen at the end of that season. So nothing's done until it's done, and you know, even though there's that big points drop from second to third, only 4 points, if I saw correctly, separating third and fourth. That's going to be a hot battle to watch as well. So nothing's settled. Nobody has anything clenched up as far as I can tell, working the back of the napkin math. But we'll see how things shake out and if Jake Cotterman can hold on to win the inaugural season of the Push Limits GT3 season.
Yeah, and it's been fun. And as these drivers grid up, I just want to go over something very, very quickly. Jed Cotterman, who is in, the lead for the championship, he has only won one race this season. So that's just a testament to, the longevity, the consistency of winning a championship here in the Breaking Bad GT3 series.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to have outright pace and win every single race to win a championship. Consistency is what wins championships, as people have said over the years, and Jed is certainly showing that to be the case as well once again. So, but we've got the guys all gridded up here. We're going to do a full pace lap tonight at Sebring, and while these guys get rolling, we'll go through the starting grid.
Yes, sir. Your starting grid is going to see Kyle Smith, part of Turn 3 Esports. He is going to be sitting in pole with a 159.648. Kenneth Copping is going to be in P2. I also believe it's Coping. I apologize for that. Kyle Dersham is going to be in P3 with Jed Cotterman, the championship favorite, in P4. Dennis Crosby, another Turn 3 Esports driver, sits P5 with the Brazilian Joao Baptista in P6. Jamie McArthur, the Canadian driver, going to be in P7 with Jeff Sanders in P8. Doug Betts is going to be in P9 with Aaron Sanford in P10. Row number 6 is going to consist of James Clark and Jesse Chase. Moving through the grid, it looks like Ethan Becker and Jeffrey Strong will be in row number 7. Row number 8 will be Kobe Brooks and Ryan Thompson and Robert Nelson in the number 57 Mustang, which might I add, Zinni, we'll get a closer look at it now as we take this grid away. That is your starting grid for the night. But this car that Robert Nelson is rocking, very, very good looking. Honestly, I think it's the cleanest on the grid here tonight.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the Mustang highlight along the side of the Mustang GT3. The factory rocks those that inspiration on their liveries, and it's just such a good looking design. So the Mustang GT3 in general is such an aggressive, such a badass looking car, and definitely a clean livery for that Mustang tonight.
Yeah, and as everyone knows, one of the strongest GT3 cars we have seen here on the iRacing official service in a long time on the release of that car. I mean, it took an entire season for them to finally figure out how to, bop it down, make it a little, more fair. But for a while there, Ford Mustangs were everywhere in the top 2, 3, 4 splits in the iRacing official service in both IMSA and GT3 Fix. So very, very good car indeed.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I have to admit, when Ford announced they were using the Mustang to go GT3 racing a few years ago now, I wasn't quite sure. You say Mustang and doesn't quite exude the thoughts that you get when you hear McLaren or Porsche or BMW, but definitely have proven themselves. It's such an aggressive looking machine. It sounds amazing too, and the sea of turbocharged and muffled engines that we have to put up with nowadays from the likes of Ferrari. But yeah, I have warmed up and become a big fan of the Mustang platform. But Porsche is going to be first and foremost in my heart, always and forever. But the Mustang is definitely high up there. It's such a good car. I love driving it. And sometimes when you're stuck between a few cars that all kind of perform the same with you behind the wheel, you just got to pick the one that sounds good, and that's the Mustang a lot of times. So very well done to Icing to bring that authenticity to the car on the service. Like I said, just had 24 hours of listening to it pound around the high banks of Daytona. it's accurate. I'll tell you that.
Well, iRacing official service, you know, knocking it out of the park again. I mean, they are the best for a reason. But the best in qualifying happened to be Kyle Smith here, the number 55 BMW. And as the pace car pulls around the final corners and into the safety of the pit lane, Kyle Smith has the honors of getting us started one last time here in season number 1. We are green at Sebring.
Yeah, they're going to start filing 3-4 wide back, about 4 rows deep there as they head into turn 1. Multi-line corner, as we see, everybody's going to slot in behind somebody, and they're going to make it clean through turn 1, lap 1.
Yeah, which is a very good tone setter if you're a Breaking Bad GT3 series driver here. A lot of incidents have gone down in turn 1, lap 1. I think back to Virginia International. I believe that was week 4 of the season. Things got chippy between Joao Baptista and Jed Cotterman. Luckily, both drivers, all drivers, making it through, like Zenny said, and we come down into the second sector of the opening lap. And, you know, what are the key takeaways here, Zenny? You said you like this track more than Daytona. It's clear that you have, you know, some passion towards this track. What's the key takeaways? How do you survive? How do you advance an hour here at Sebring?
Well, it's kind of cliche, but, you know, the first one is you got to mind the bumps. Turn 17, Sunset Bend, it's probably the most famous corner at Sebring, but it's also extremely bumpy as you're transitioning from the asphalt through the concrete of the old Air Force Base. And it's very easy, especially if you got low downforce or your traction control's too low, to spin the car there, lose control of it. But also these curbs with the 3D curbing that iRacing's introduced over the last couple seasons, it can throw the car around, especially if you're trying to abuse the curbing, especially through Tower Corner or even through the Lamar corner that these guys just exited onto the back straight. So here they go as they go into Sunset Bend for the first time to conclude lap 1. You're going to see Jed Cotterman look to the inside there in that number 7 Porsche. Now, he's going to get bounced to the outside because there's a nasty bump on the inside by where that curb is, but he manages it pretty well. But he's got the Mustang of Joao Baptista tucked up right behind him as they're putting pressure on the 75 of Jamie McArthur in front of him. And the counterpart to turn 17 is turn 1 as they're going through. You see them bounce and skating through the corners there as they're drifting out to that exit curve. It's just a very technical track, but there's also a lot of passing opportunities around here.
Yeah, and it seems like it. My personal favorite is the Sunset Bend, you know, just like Jed Cotterman did there. He, you know, took it up the inside and decided to go for the overtake there. And it's funny, I mentioned the Jed Cotterman and Joao Baptista stuff from Virginia, and these two guys are right beside each other. Jed Cotterman in the number 7 Porsche, Joao Baptista in the 03 Ford Mustang. The Brazilian and American, no love lost between these guys, but they are clean, they are competitive, even though things get a little chippy at times. But Joao Baptista looking to try to make something work here on Jed Cotterman. Hasn't gotten anything to stick yet, but as we come up towards Sunset Bend, the Mustang, it's got that American power. Here in the slipstream, he might go for a move.
Yeah, we'll see how he gets through this last sector here and exit out of Lamar corner onto the back straightaway here in a couple of corners time, and see if he can use the grunt of that 5.4 liter V8 engine to set up a move. As you see, Jed runs a little bit wide there on the exit of Lamar. That's definitely going to allow Joao to make a move here as we see him pull to the inside. They're side by side about a third of the way down the straightaway here.
Yeah, Joao Baptista going to try to take it on the inside line to the best of his ability. Jed Cotterman is on a little bit of a suboptimal line, and that's going to be the move done for Joao Baptista. Someone I wanted to cover here, Jamie McArthur, who is ahead of this. He is in the number 75 Porsche. He is up 3 spots already. So drivers starting their 3rd lap of the race, and Jamie McArthur's already got 3 spots to speak for.
Yeah, and he's looking at this battle behind him and saying thank you very much because he's pulled out a big lead over Joao Bautista and Jed Cotterman. And as you saw with Jed being forced a little bit wide there, having to take a wider line because of Joao being on the inside, it allowed Dennis Crosby in that neon yellow and black number 22 point to close up behind as well. Nothing doing to make a pass there, but certainly closed the gap between him and Cotterman.
Yeah, a little bit of a single file train here for P5, and at Sebring, it's a little bit of a narrower track, and with the bumps, it just adds to the tension. Things can get spicy pretty fast. We'll have to see how these drivers handle it. 4 Porsches in a row before we get back to our first McLaren. Jeff Sanders, championship contender. You know he's going to be rocking that number 30 Raccoon Sim Racing McLaren. He always has every single week, and he's had a very good season. Unfortunately, finds himself in P10 here. He's going to have to step it up over the course of the next 54 minutes if he wants a shot at this title.
Yeah, his objective is to finish in front of Jed and as many spots ahead of him as he can. So that's his only objective. He's currently about 4 spots behind him at the moment, but it is an hour-long race, and so maybe exercising a little bit of patience. Doesn't seem like the McLaren may have the outright pace, especially compared to the Porsche around here, but over the course of an hour, as the tires wear down and the track rubber's in, that dynamic may change towards the end of the race.
Yeah, and another thing needed to take into consideration is pit stops and pit strategy. Drivers are going to have to pit. It's not mandatory, however, they are running such a low fuel load that they are going to have to pit. So you have to start thinking about that, as well as Jeff Sanders trying to prep a move here on Ethan Becker. They're going to be side by side, and around on the inside will go Jeff Sanders. So well done to him. He's working his way up. He's got time. He's got 53 minutes, but he cannot sit and wait too long where that opportunity might just jump out in front of him.
Yeah, like you said, he can afford to be patient because of there being 53 minutes left in the race, but we can't afford to wait too long and either be collected in somebody else's incident or just flat get held back too far, and that gap becomes insurmountable as the minutes tick down. So currently he's about 4 seconds back from Jed Cotterman, and he's about 3 positions back after that maid that he just pulled on Ethan Becker, but still has a little bit of time, but not very much.
Yeah, and Jed Cotterman still trying to figure out a way around Joao Baptista. He has dropped back a little bit. He ran about half a second lap slower than Joao Baptista on that last lap, but the car ahead of both of those drivers, the 75 Porsche of Jamie MacArthur, has ran your fastest lap of the race so far with a 2:04. So almost cresting over the 2 minute, or under the 2 minute mark, I should say, is Jamie MacArthur. And although he's not in direct contention for the championship, a good result here would be a lot of good momentum heading into next season.
Yeah, I was just going to say he's definitely the fastest car on the track at the moment. He's run down the 2 Mustangs in second and third in front of him. The next fastest car is Joao Baptista, though, behind him in that Mustang. And so both of those guys are going to want to try and get around the Mustangs of Kenneth Coping and Kyle Dersham and start challenging our leader at the moment, Kyle Smith, if they can.
Yeah, Kyle Smith in that 55. Not much airtime so far, but frankly, it's just because he's been too good. He's stretching out that lead over Kenneth Coping and Kyle Dersham at a pretty heavy rate. I mean, he dropped 0.4 of a second last lap, and that is the skinniest margin he's had. So as long as he can keep his average pace up to where it was in the first few laps, he will be getting away from them very, very efficiently. And Kyle Smith, this is what he does. When he is out in front, when he qualifies out front, he tends to stay out front. He is a very gifted hot lapper. He's a very gifted race pace guy. But we've seen in the past when he doesn't start up front, it takes him a considerable amount of time to make those overtakes. He has the raw pace, but it's getting around the other cars that Kyle Smith just tends to struggle with a little bit. So the game plan is going perfectly for him now. He qualified up front. He is staying up front, and we'll see if he can hold it for the entire race.
Yeah, and for Kyle Smith coming off of a P2 last week, he's looking to do one better this week. So he's definitely riding a wave of momentum at the moment. He's built up about a 1.2 second lead as they come to the conclusion of lap 5 or 6, I believe. And he's holding that gap pretty steady while the cars behind him are starting to shape up and have a battle. The 75 of Jamie MacArthur, he's closed up on the back of Kyle Dersham and kind of had a little bit of a roadblock at the moment, which has allowed João Baptista to close up behind him, as you see in your screen at the moment. That gap was several car lengths, and now you can probably fit maybe one more Mustang in between the 75 and the 03 at this point in time. But definitely the two fastest cars, and Jamie MacArthur is going to have to dispatch with Kyle Dersham if he can very quickly.
Yeah, and it is getting very close between these drivers, and if you look a little ways back on the road, you can see Jed Cotterman doing all he can to try to catch up to this. This is valuable time for him, because if he's going to want to catch João Baptista and the rest of the grid, he's going to have to do it now while they have to battle with each other. James Clark had a little bit of a moment earlier. We'll take a look at that. James Clark in that number 1 Porsche as we see him go by in slow motion. Looks like he might be carrying just a little too much speed. Ooh, and yeah, he's going to turn. I believe that might be Jeffrey Strong. Yeah, in that Verstappen.com Ferrari.
Yeah, I have to see that from the overhead because it's hard to tell if James took too much speed or Jeffrey may have just turned in too tight and chopped the nose off of the number 1 Porsche there. But definitely an action spot heading into the hairpin there. As you said, could have been a case of carrying too much speed. Jeffrey's holding tight on the outside and looks like he may have just pinched him and ended up turning himself and taking the front bumper of James Clark as a souvenir there.
Yeah, and Robert Nelson also having a little bit of a moment. We'll get up in that Racer Nexus chopper and take a look at him, and oh, he's just going to stop the car off the racing line, so that's going to be Robert Nelson's night potentially done. I don't know if he needed just a tow back to the pits or what, but here we have João Baptista now looking to overtake Kyle Dersham. Jamie MacArthur in that number 75 Porsche did indeed get around Kyle Dersham. We'll go take a look at that.
Yeah, coming down the back straightaway, heading into Sunset Bend, classic overtaking space. And João Baptista looked like he wanted to go with him there, but Jamie MacArthur using the power of that Porsche to muscle by the Mustang. You don't get to see that very often. And João Baptista wanted to go with him, but my guess is that Kyle Dersham fought back, and he's got the inside line in turn 1, and yeah, he's going to hold on to that position. But Jamie MacArthur definitely is looking and excited that he's got Jamie in between him and João at the moment, knowing how hard it was to get around Kyle Dersham.
Yeah, and Jamie MacArthur now working on Kenneth Coping in that number 81 Mustang. He is trying to track down the leader, Kyle Smith. Not doing too bad of a job, running about a 1/10.5 faster than our leader on that previous lap, so he is heading in the right direction. Jamie MacArthur not wanting to go down without a fight, that is for sure. As we come up on the first quarter of this race completed, we have a little bit of a battle going on between the two Mustangs here. João Baptista going to try to overtake Kyle Dersham in the exact same fashion that Jamie MacArthur, got him in the previous lap, and it looks like it's going to work out, as the 03 of João Baptista is going to have the move just about done on Kyle Dersham. Oh, but they're going to come back around. Kyle Dersham
Yeah, he's
actually
going to fight
takes
back on
the
the outside.
Yeah, wow. What defense.
Fantastic move from Kyle Dersham there to hang it around the outside there. Very clean, very aggressive racing there.
Oh! As Joel Baptista has been turned into the wall. We'll go back and take a look at that. Coming out of the technical turns, I think, what is it, 2 through 7, Zinni? I might be wrong on that. Just a little bit of an overcorrection, actually.
Yeah, it looked like, I think that's turn 4. He just lit up the traction control and stepped one way. He tried to catch it and stepped the other way. How appropriate, though, that he crashed in front of his fellow Mustangs on the other side of the fence there. But, yeah, it's a shame to see Joel Baptista, definitely one of the faster cars in the field tonight, but just had a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the corner there and just lost it on his own.
And that has unfortunately been a recurring theme for Joel Baptista this season. Could very well be in championship contention, may even be the championship favorite if he could just get through these races. He's got the pace, he's got the racecraft, he's got it all. He just seems to not be able to focus for the entire 60 minutes. Moving back on track, we see Kyle Dersham, Jed Cotterman, and Dennis Crosby in your view. Jed Cotterman, I apologize, going for a move into Sunset Corner, Sunset Bend, as he looks completely locked in.
Yeah, he was running in a very tight in there to try and get the undercut on Kyle Dersham, which compromised his exit and allowed Dennis Crosby to carry speed there. As you saw, Dennis running that more traditional wide or arc through there. Allowed him to close in, but Jed gets a better run through turn 1 and extends lead a little bit, or that gap I should say, over to the 22. But yeah, all that battling that Joel Baptista and Kyle Dersham had allowed Jed Cotterman and Dennis Crosby to close in, and so by a byproduct of that is Jamie MacArthur has disappeared into the distance, and he's got his focus laser set on P1 and P2 at the moment.
Yeah, Jamie MacArthur just in the right place at the right time for the majority of this race so far, and now it's just time to put if I'm Jamie MacArthur, I'm just putting my head down and I am pushing. It's the final week. Let's go grab a win.
Yeah, for Jamie MacArthur, he's definitely trying to close out the season with the best result he can, which would be a win, obviously. You contrast that with somebody like Jed Cotterman. His focus really is just how he's doing in relation to Jeff Sanders, who's his really only his rival in the championship in this final round. So for Jed, he's not going to be looking to put or make any low percentage moves on anybody. And at the same time, if anybody tries to make a aggressive move on him, you'll probably see him give plenty of space. But Jamie MacArthur, though, in that 75 Porsche, he's only got one mission, and that's to win. And he's definitely closing in on Kenneth Coping at the moment, and it's not too far between Kenneth and Kyle Smith for the lead.
Yeah, and Jamie MacArthur, although he is one of the fastest cars on this grid week in and week out, he also struggles with, the survival part, the stamina, the longevity, lasting the entire 60 minutes. He is only a one-time podium finisher. That was a 3rd place at Daytona. That's the only time he's finished on the podium this season so far. So what a way to go out and build some momentum towards the next season than to go out and get a podium and maybe even a win.
Yeah, I mean, doing an hour-long race is definitely something that you don't see or are exposed to very often if you do iRacing officials. And, most of those races are 20 or 30 minutes long. And so for guys to maintain focus across the entire hour and then have pit stops in there as well and have to manage strategy on the fly, it's a unique skill set that some people take a little bit longer than others to develop and get used to. And that's why it's good to have leagues like this where you can come in and start to hone those skills. And then if you go and do official special event endurance races, you'll have those skills that you can bring to a team or bring to your own team if you run your own effort.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, and that's a big reason why I just think, the iRacing official service is just so good for all things, connecting the real racing world with the sim racing world. I mean, the preparation, the setup, the engineering, when it comes to the setup of the car, planning the strategy, finding the pace. It's all just so immersive and so hands-on, and that's just one of the reasons why I think the iRacing official service is by far the best racing simulator you can find on planet Earth right now. But I am an iRacing glazer, as the kids call, so I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again. The rabbit hole I am going to visit is Jed Cotterman in the number 7 Porsche, working on the 093 of Kyle Dersham. He's got right up to his back bumper again and again. He's got to be careful, though, because the 22 of Dennis Crosby is right there as well. And if they take too long, it's going to be a third Porsche, part of Turn 3 Esports. That's Doug Betts in the number 3 Moza Racing Porsche. Moza Racing with very, very impressive line of products. They're always innovating. They've delved into the flight stick and flight simulator world as well. And Zenny, I don't know what, manufacturer or brand you rock with or you support, but Moza Racing, they emerged on the scene in 2024, and they have not looked back.
Yeah, definitely a nice thing to see if you're a sim racing enthusiast. The more competitors we have, the better it is for us, the users. Competition is always great. Having choices, which is going to keep things as cost effective as possible. They're the only ones that have so far tried to make an alternative active pedal from what SimiCube has, which I think a lot of people would say is kind of the next frontier for pedals. You had, your potentiometer pedals, then your load cell pedals, and now it seems like we're evolving into these active pedals. So, and as you said, they're dual purpose. Their flight sim stuff is highly regarded from what I've read and heard. They've got, official contracts with airline manufacturers or aircraft manufacturers as well to make replica products for them. So, it's just great to see. The one big thing that came out of the pandemic was the boom of simulators in general, not just racing, but also flight sims as well. So, you just love to see that these products are continuing to come out, and these companies are continuing to invest in our hobby that we love to do. As we see Jed Cotterman, he's finally getting a nose around the outside of Kyle Dersham. So Kyle Dersham played excellent defense going through the turns 2, 3, 4, and 5 there, as they're going to make their run down to the hairpin. Jed Cotterman's going to look left, look right, look left again, but nothing doing, as Kyle's going to take that defensive line well held through the hairpin there, and he's going to hold him off for another half of the lap here.
Yeah, and while Kyle Dersham hasn't had very many, highlight moments inside of our inaugural season here of the Breaking Bad GT3 series, he has been a very good defensive driver. I know it feels like commentators curse, and I might be rubbing salt in the wound because he's being overtaken by 2 Porsches. Jed Cotterman got around. Dennis Crosby also trying to as well, but he is a very good defensive driver. He knows where to park his car in the corners. He knows what lines to take that will make his car feel the biggest on track and make it, hard to overtake. He never really gives up a position. He makes you go the long way around, and that's just a testament. Some guys, they're not the fastest, but if they can keep you behind them, that's all they need.
Yeah, definitely. When I started doing league driving, I was in leagues with very fast guys, and I did not have the outright pace, and so I learned the merits of being a good defensive driver. And to get on a soapbox in the middle of a broadcast, but I feel like that's something that has unfortunately become lacking in official races on iRacing. Is, some people see somebody being a good defensive driver, and instead of acknowledging that and accepting that that is the reality of racing, they get frustrated and just move somebody out of the way. With leagues, you kind of have the ability to police that through stewarding and issuing punishments and that sort of thing. So for Kyle Dersham, he may not have overall outright pace that some of these guys have, but he's clearly shown that he's a very good defensive driver and is able to really hold his own.
Yeah, he is very, very good, very defensive driver, and it works for him. He's gotten good results to back that claim up. Another battle happening on track right now. It's going to be right behind what we just saw. Aaron Sanford is trying to get that Lamborghini across and ahead of Jeff Sanders. Jeff Sanders, though, in that number 30 McLaren, trying to keep it as tidy as he can. He needs to start working his way up. We're 34 minutes left in the race. Pit windows are going to start to open. We'll see, I'm sure, a ton of different strategies coming out of these drivers here in the Breaking Bad GT3 roster. But one thing I do want to highlight is Jeffrey Strong, who at Road America pushed his Ferrari about 3 laps further than everyone else, and somehow the miraculous overcut netted him about a 10 position cushion, and he had a very good finish there strictly off of pit strategy. Will it happen? Is he in the prime spot for it? I'm not entirely sure about that here tonight, but things sure are not over for Jeffrey Strong, as Jamie MacArthur is going to bring that number 75 Porsche into the pit lane.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we were talking about how the pit window had likely opened, and Jamie MacArthur is the first of our callers to pit lane. So we'll see if the undercut works in relation to some of these other guys, and see if he can maybe jump in front of Kenneth Copping, or at minimum hold his position ahead of Jake Otterman.
Yeah, and it's going to be a full service stop for Jamie MacArthur. He's going to get all the fuel he needs. I didn't see that car go up on jacks, though, so I don't think he got tires, which is very, very common move here, as Jeffrey Strong going to do the same thing. He brings it in to pit lane. Jesse Chase has already brought it into pit lane, but unfortunately it's going to be for a bad reason. Suffered damage on the first lap of the race. Had to pit early and get some of that damage done, so not the best day for the 323 Ford Mustang. Jed Cotterman is still trying to work his way up to Kenneth Coping. Only problem is Kenneth Coping and Kyle Smith are lapping just a little bit faster than Jed Cotterman. Not on that last lap. Kenneth Coping had a little bit of an issue running a 2-minute 0.1 second. But Jed Cotterman is running just a tiny bit slower. He's got the guys lining up behind him. That's Dersham, Crosby, and Betts. So Jed Cotterman might have to abandon the whole offensive strategy and maybe bolster up some defense and start defending his position.
Yeah, and for somebody like Crosby or Betts, if they get close in and just simply can't make a pass on the track, they might peel off a little bit earlier than they originally intended to get out of traffic, get the pit stop done, do a little bit of an undercut, and come out in clean air and put some good laps in while everybody else in front of them is still battling in that dirty air, namely Kyle Dersham and Jay Cotterman. But we'll see if that pans out. But these guys were strung out for the first part of the race, and through pace and some other battles that have since faded, have made this a 4-car train currently battling for the final step of the podium.
Yeah, and Jed Cotterman, who does have a championship advantage over the rest of the grid, we'll take a look at the points here now. Jed Cotterman does lead Jeff Sanders by about 190 points. So he has got a pretty firm lead, and unfortunately for Jeff Sanders, he sits in P7 as opposed to Cotterman in P3. Dennis Crosby, of course, also behind Jed Cotterman. So the championship is Jed's. All he has to do is lock up this position. And for the likes of Dennis Crosby, it's not really even the end of the world. If Crosby gets past Cotterman, he's got a good point lead to him. It's just Jeff Sanders. But if Jeff Sanders can stay behind this entire group, Jed Cotterman has nothing to worry about, and it's smooth sailing to the championship.
Well, yeah, but for the final two cars in this four-car train, in Crosby and Betts, they've got 14 points separating them for third place in the championship. So those guys very much have something at stake with this running order that's going on right now. You have to envision that whoever finishes in front of the other is going to take that final step on the podium in the championship in the third place. And we see the Porsches all put together with Cotterman, Crosby, and Betts coming to take their service, as well as Kenneth Copping in his Ford Mustang. So now we wait and see where Jamie MacArthur cycles through, as these are all the cars that he was either trying to chase down or trying to run away from, as they all get to their pit box, and Jamie MacArthur is making his way down the back straightaway right now. So we'll see how they cycle out and how much fuel they take. I don't believe I saw anybody go up on the jacks, which, as you said, is a pretty standard move for an hour. Most of the tires have no problem lasting an hour or plus. As we see Copping come out of the pits, he's making his way down to the exit as Jamie MacArthur comes onto the front straightaway.
And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it as he's taken turn one. He is going to beat out Dennis Crosby and Doug Betts, actually. So very well done from Jamie MacArthur for that, but he's not going to beat out Jed Cotterman or Kenneth Copping. Your top five looks like Smith, Dersham, Sanders, Sanford, and Kobe Brooks. Unfortunately, those five drivers have not pitted yet. Kyle Smith and Kyle Dersham are probably safe from the pit cycle. They are just outright the fastest cars on track right now. Jeff Sanders, unfortunately, is probably going to be the first car to get hit by that late pit stop, but we'll see if he can pull a strategy out of the hat, much like Jeffrey Strong did earlier in the season. We move back to Jed Cotterman. He is your championship leader coming into the final week if you're just tuning in. Big shout out to Apex Sim Racing as well. You can use code Racer Nexus for 5% off any of the sim racing accessories they offer over there. That could be wheel bases, wheel rims, pedals, chassis, monitors, monitor mounts. It does not matter. Go over to Apex Sim Racing and get some merchandise, get some gear, get some equipment, and use that code Racer Nexus for 5% off. It supports us and it supports the network very, very much. Also, shout out to Track Cams for Gourmets. That's trackcams22.com. They provide all the car and track cameras you see on this broadcast and all of the broadcasts in the Racer Nexus network. So once again, big shout out to them for their support and their amazing product with these track and car cameras. Moving back to the action, Jed Cotterman is sizing up the 81 Mustang. That's Kenneth Copping. Around turn number one they go into the heavy braking right-hander, and it's going to be Jed Cotterman who gets around Kenneth Copping easy enough.
Yeah, and that's effectively a move for second place, as Aaron Sanford, Jeff Sanders, and Kyle Dersham have not pit. Kyle Smith did come in, take his turn, and resume his lead of the race at the front, but Jed Cotterman makes the move and heading down into the hairpin. Jamie MacArthur is looking to make a move on Kenneth Copping as well. He's got about 3/4 of that pass done, but the 81 Mustang is not going to bend over and yield. He is going to fight back, heading down into tower as they bump a little bit. 81 coming off and carrying on there.
And now we take a look at Kobe Brooks in the number 333. That technically gifted number 333 on that Ford Mustang will get Jed Cotterman's cam out of the way. I apologize. He has got his own stuff going. He's vying for a championship, but what a nice wrap there on the 333. That's Kobe Brooks. We had a request in chat to show off that paint, so there you go. Very, very well done.
Very good looking paints on the Mustangs tonight.
Yeah, very unfortunate that Kobe Brooks does sit in P10. He's had some impressive laps. He unfortunately is just making some mistakes that is going to cost him. I'm sorry for the confusion. Aaron Sanford has just been black flagged. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be. I'm sure it's maybe a dangerous or speeding pit entry. We'll have to go back and take a look at that. Aaron Sanford. As I'm not entirely sure what. We'll go back and take a look. Aaron Sanford coming around the penultimate corner here, looking to go into the pit lane, and yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say that might be a little fast of a pit entry.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of would be speeding in pit lane, because even if it was a incident limit black flag, that's only a drive-through, so he wouldn't be able to serve it while doing the rest of his service like he just did. So definitely didn't look like an unsafe pit entry. He didn't cross the yellow line or wreck any of the cones that were there. So the only thing that I can think of is speeding penalty, which based on the replay wasn't very much if he was over. So that's got to be rough for him to process. But either way, it's done and dusted. He served that penalty and has resumed back into 10th position at the moment.
Yeah, very, very well done from him. And someone I want to take a look at is Jed Cotterman. He is fighting Jamie MacArthur for that P3 spot. Both of these drivers have already taken their pit stop, so it's going to be an all-out war for the final 23 minutes here. Jamie MacArthur wanting to finish the season on a good note. He is not going to back down from your likely championship winner, Jed Cotterman. He is not afraid to get his elbows out and race. That's one of the most appealing things about watching Jamie MacArthur take the track. He is very, very aggressive. He's very clean. Do not get me wrong. He's not malicious or having any malicious intent with his moves whatsoever, but when he does get to racing, he is aggressive and he's not afraid to rub doors just a little bit.
Yeah, and if you're Jed Cotterman, this is where you have to weigh the risk versus reward, because as you said, he is the champion-elect at the moment. Obviously, that's not a deal, so he definitely can't afford to tangle with Jamie MacArthur. And not saying that Jamie is a bad driver or an aggressive and intentionally wrecking driver in any way, shape, or form, but you know, all it takes with iRacing's crash physics is a bad bump or you know, some minor attack or even some netcode, and spin the number 7 Porsche around of Jed Cotterman, and next thing you know, he's behind Jeff Sanders, which is where he does not need to be. So expect to see Jed obviously drive defensive to hold on to that podium position that he's in, but if Jamie MacArthur is able to make a move down the inside into one of these heavy brake zones, you might look and see Jed Cotterman just kind of yield and let Jamie go by.
Yeah, there is a lot more to play for if you're Jed Cotterman than it is for Jamie MacArthur, so I agree with that take 100% if it comes down to it. Kyle Dersham is getting caught by these drivers, however. Jed Cotterman is going to have some sort of a look. Who knows if he's going to catch up to him. We do only have 21 minutes left, but at least he can see him now. Kyle Smith is going to be a lot further up the road than Kyle Dersham. He is 14 seconds up the road from Kyle Dersham. So Kyle Smith, that 55 BMW, it's been class every time he takes the grid, and he's just showing it off again here.
Yeah, Kyle Smith has got a commanding lead of the race at the moment. He was also the quickest in his pit stop as well. The only person that came close to him from a time in the pits was Jeff Sanders and Kobe Brooks. But, you know, for everybody in the top 5, he was 3 to 5 seconds faster than them in the pit stop. So that definitely helped with extending the lead that he has. As you said, it's out to a 13.5 second at the moment over Kyle Dersham. But for Jamie MacArthur, he had a very slow pit stop. He was stationary for about 27 seconds when everybody around him was only stationary for about 23. So took probably a little bit too much fuel, but rather have too much fuel and make sure that you're safe from maybe one extra lap compared to some of the other guys. So not sure that's going to play a factor. We've still got 19 minutes plus to go to figure out how many laps we're going to have. But for Jamie MacArthur, he's obviously got the pace, so didn't really hinder him that much. And who knows, maybe he has that 1 lap extra fuel that everybody else is going to need. And if not, well, lesson learned for the next race.
That is good advice and a good point. I want to take a look at Kobe Brooks again in that 3-3-3. He is going to be your biggest mover on the day, and it's going to be a pretty big gap. As you take a look down in your bottom right, Kobe Brooks is going to be your biggest gainer with 6 positions gained. He is now going to sit in P9. Started this race in P15. Jamie MacArthur is up 3 spots. However, he started this race P7. He sits in P4. Ryan Thompson as well, gaining 3 spots, sitting in P13. So a good result from him. And then once you go down the list, it's really only 2 spots and 1 spot. So Kobe Brooks, the fact that he has moved up 6 spots in a grid this tight means he has a lot of promise here in the Breaking Bad GT3 series for next season.
Yeah. Well, as we say, that is he has a little spin there and a little kiss of the barrier.
Oh no, Kobe! I apologize, man. I apologize. Oh no,
That is all Max's fault. He was gassing you up in the broadcast, so that was all him.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take the one on the chin for that. But he's still up 6 spots. He did not lose a position. He's actually got still a 34-second lead back to Aaron Sanford. So very, very big stretch from P9 to P10. As we go back and look at Jed Cotterman, we'll get a little bit of an update from our championship leader here. He is still just so locked in. I don't think his facial expression has changed once all night. He knows the mission, and he's on a, well, mission, I guess, to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. He's got his focus on one thing and one thing only, which is finishing as far ahead of Jeff Sanders as he can, which at the moment he is accomplishing, being up in P3 and Jeff Sanders down to P7. But, you know, if he could lock up the championship and get a podium in this race, I think that'd be just double as sweet for Jed Cotterman. But he's got his mirrors full of that 75 blue and black Porsche at the moment. And at the same time, they're both trying to run down Kyle Dersham in the Mustang, the P2.
Yeah, and very unfortunate for Joel Baptista. What a night for him. He unfortunately has loaded that race car up. He is heading on into the shop. He had a fantastic starting little bit to this race, but unfortunately on his 8th lap, it was demise, and it's so sad for Joel Baptista, young upcoming Brazilian iRacer, repping that Ford Mustang. He always had such raw pace, and unfortunately he just could not lay it down for the entire 60-minute time for the race. That happened on a lot of occasions here this season, and hopefully if he comes back next season, he can just maybe tone it down 1 to 2% just to guarantee that he gets through that 60-minute bit, because he has so much talent for being so early on in his iRacing career.
Yeah, and that's just where doing leagues is going to be beneficial because it's a bit of a more controlled environment. You get to race with the same guys week in and week out, so you start learning people's habits and their styles and everything. And so it's definitely a good environment to improve and continue to develop your skills. And speaking of next season, we just kind of wanted to touch on it as the second season has been established. Looks like they're going to kick things off starting on February 21st. So once this race ends tonight and concludes season one, they're going to take out 3 or 4 weeks off and then start up again doing Saturday nights, same time as these races have been. So if you're interested in joining for season 2, definitely find the link in the description to the league Discord. Hop on in, find out all the info, get ready for season 2, and you can get yourself broadcasted by Racer Nexus as well.
Yeah, and it would be a wonderful time. I mean, you see it here. These guys have a wonderful time every single week they take to the grid. And just to, piggyback off what Ziddy said, if you're a league admin out there and you would like your league broadcasted, you can find all the links necessary to contact our boss, Rob Campbell. In the video description below, you can, talk to him, figure out what you need done, pricing, configuration, all that sort of stuff. So if you're in the market for having your league broadcasted, and you want it to look the best and sound the best and be the best, then there's no other choice but go with Racer Nexus. So there is your invite. Will you accept it? Will you not? I don't know. All I know is we have 14 minutes left until we crown a champion here in the Breaking Bad GT3 Saturday Series. It's a lights out GT3 weekend showdown here at Sebring. And the guy on your screen right now, that number 7 Porsche, is drove by Jed Cotterman, and he is going to be your likely championship winner here tonight. He leads the championship. He's been nice all night on this sizzling Sebring circuit, might I add. We'll take a look at the weather. It was scorching during practice. I'm not entirely sure if it's gotten hotter or cooler. It's actually gotten a lot cooler. Okay. So good for them, 64 degrees outside with an 82-degree track temperature. And it was, I think it was chilling in like the 90s during practice. So a lot cooler of a track. These lap times should be going down. More grip there on the track as Jed Cotterman's going to have a little bit of a taste of that tire wall. Coming out of Sunset onto the front straight. And Zenny, if you're Jed Cotterman, you've got 12 minutes left until you're crowned a champion. What are you telling yourself to make sure the nerves are still there? Especially now, I want to hear your answer after seeing that.
Well, if you're letting your thoughts drift off and trying to quell your nervousness, that will certainly help when you have to dodge lap cars and avoid turning race cars into a multi-million-dollar pile of scrap metal. But yeah, definitely a nervous moment there for Jed. Certainly a lot closer than he would have liked that to have been. Just kind of an awkward spot there with looked like the 2-lap down cars of Ryan Thompson and Jesse Chase were trying to get out of the way and maybe being a little bit hesitant on where they wanted to place their cars going through the corners there. But yeah, I mean, as we've said in the broadcast so far, Jed's got one thing and one thing only, and that is to finish as far in front of Jeff Sanders as he can. It's nice when you've got these battles that he's had all night to be able to kind of put your nervous energy into from a focus perspective. It's not just riding around by yourself and wondering what if and all that sort of stuff. And so it's been good from that, but also you have a different thought process of, well, I hope, this guy doesn't take me out, or, I hope we don't tangle with this guy. You kind of, your spidey sentences start tingling a little bit when you're around other guys that are not in the hunt for the championship. And, you start looking for any little thing of, is that going to lose it, or is he looking to throw it down the inside going to turn one or something like that. So um, you just find different ways to channel your focus, and you kind of put the championship out of the back of your mind for a little bit, as you're trying first and foremost to finish the race and keep the car clean. But second of all, it's not a win or you lose situation. He's got some options available to him.
Yeah, 3 cars currently separate Jed Cotterman from Jeff Sanders. 2 of them are on your screen now. It's going to be Kenneth Coping and Jamie MacArthur. That Mustang and Porsche doing battle. Jamie MacArthur currently leading, but Kenneth Coping is not looking to go down without a fight. That is going to mean that Jeff Sanders does indeed catch up to him, but it's also going to mean that Jed Cotterman, the number 7 Porsche, is going to get away from it. So Jamie MacArthur and Kenneth Coping doing battle, who knows how long. 9.5 minutes left in our final race of the season here tonight in the Breaking Bad GT3 series. We go back and we look at the past race winners. Joel Baptista getting it done 1 time at Laguna Seca. Jed Cotterman getting it done 1 time at Virginia. But Jeff Sanders is actually going to be the only driver on the grid here this season who has won twice. So Jeff Sanders has indeed won more than Jed Cotterman, but those races that he didn't win were not the best of showings. And you can see it now. Jeff Sanders is in P7 in that number 30 McLaren, coming across the start-finish line right now. He's going to pass the only other McLaren on track. That's going to be Ryan Thompson. So Jeff Sanders, unfortunately, just not really in a spot to get it done here tonight at Sebring. And for a guy who's won twice and still chasing in the championship, do you go out with your head up, or is it a bit of a disappointment to be here, Zinni?
I think you still go out with your head up. Of course, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to take home the championship. But, for Jeff Sanders, he's sitting there, and has probably experienced the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows with winning twice, but also not having the consistent results that Jed Cotterman's had, to be leading the championship going into the final round. And so I'm sure for Jeff, he's going to look at some of the races and wish he had them back to have better results in. And that's just going to fuel him for next season to come back and be stronger, across all aspects, for the whole championship. It's, as we talked about at the top of the broadcast, winning is great, but if you win or bust every week, it's going to be very difficult to win a championship that way. So, like I said, for Jeff Sanders, he's probably going to highlight a couple of races that he's going to look at and go, well, if I had just placed a couple spots higher, or, maybe not wrecked out of, or gotten involved with some other guys, it would be a very different story, and I would be the one that had the championship locked up. And so he'll learn lessons from that, and that's exactly what this is for. So, but it's definitely not something to hang your hat on, or anything like that. Finishing second in a championship, as competitive as this has been, is certainly nothing to be shameful about.
Yeah, and Jeff Sanders is going to have to realize that he has had a very, very good season, even though he more than likely is not going to win the championship here tonight. It's been a very fun time seeing Jeff Sanders. He's a very, very good driver. Moving back more towards the top of the grid, we've got the man of the hour, Jed Cotterman here. He is now tracking down the 093 of Kyle Dersham, looking to try to make something work as they go into the hairpin. As Jed Cotterman gonna try to make that agile Porsche maneuver just a little more smoothly around this technical section, I should say, of Sebring. as Jed caught him, and I thought there was going to be a lockup there. It sounded like he was coming in a little too hot to that corner, but Jed Cotterman gets on the brakes in a timely enough fashion to avoid that. Kyle Dersham feeling the pressure from Jed Cotterman. There's no surprise there, as Jed Cotterman is the championship leader for a reason. You see him behind you. You're surely going to clamp that wheel just a little harder, you know, maybe look at your mirror just a little too much, and one mistake is all it takes, and then Jed Cotterman will be around you. But for Kyle Dersham, he knows that Jed Cotterman is probably not going to do anything too aggressive, because he is in a perfectly good spot to claim the championship. So for the likes of Kyle Dersham, he's just going at it as well as he can. Jed Cotterman is going to get a lot of position gained in Sunset Bend. Now coming down the first starting straight, we're crossing the start-finish line a few feet back, heading into turn number 1 now. It's going to be a little bit for the likes of Kyle Dersham. That's going to compromise his speed. Heading down into the next corner, they're going to beat and bang doors. Kyle Dersham with a little bit of an overcorrection. Jed Cotterman still looking to pursue the move, as he is going to try to get around that Mustang. He's not going to have it work here, but heading down into the heavy braking zone. We'll see if Jed Cotterman can try something again. They're both going to duck off to the left side. Not Jamie MacArthur, I apologize. Jed Cotterman looking to get every inch of space that he can on this car. Kyle Dersham, I said, he was feeling the pressure. It was kind of just a guess, but it's obvious that he now is. A lot of minute mistakes coming out of him while Jed Cotterman is behind. We'll see if Cotterman can get around him at this tight and technical part of the racetrack. Heading around the right-hander now before we start the final sector. These next few corners should be the Porsche's playground, as the heavier Mustang is going to struggle to maneuver around these higher speed corners. And Jed Cotterman is gaining ground fast, and oh, he's a little bit wide heading down onto the back straight. That's going to kill his momentum, and the ever so powerful Mustang is going to trudge on down the straight.
Yeah, for a guy that's trying to hold on to championship lead, you certainly wouldn't know it with how hard Jed Cotterman's pushing to try and get a P2 in this race. But it's definitely been clean, respectful racing. No door banging or anything like that from Cotterman and Dersham, as they've gone side by side multiple times here. But got just under 3 minutes to go. About 2.5 minutes actually, as we'll have probably 2, maybe 3 laps to go when they come around again. And while these guys are battling, it's allowed the battle of Kenneth Coping and Jamie MacArthur to close in, as looks like in the background Jamie MacArthur got a little bit loose on the exit curb there after Coping got around him. And Jed Cotterman's going to try and make the move down into the hairpin here. He's down to the inside. Looks like he's going to get it done this time.
Yeah, and Jed Cotterman into the hairpin. He's going to get the move done on Kyle Dersham. A little late to that on the camera, so we'll go back. We'll rehash it, take another look at it. And he dipped down off to the right side, very late on the brakes, and almost using the curb as like a rail system to get his car around that corner. Very creative and very good racecraft from Jed Cotterman. As Kyle Smith now working his way down the back straight, almost into Sunset. As the time is 1:25 on the race clock, there's a chance we see Barney waving the white flag here. We'll have to take a look. As it looks like, yes, Barney is going to wave that white flag. You can see it on the left side of your, or on the right side of your screen. I apologize there. This is the final lap of the Breaking Bad GT3 series. Jed Cotterman is going to be your championship winner if he can get this car around one more time. He's got a very angry and a very motivated Kyle Dersham behind him, looking to get that P2 spot back. Drivers now starting to see the white flag. They know this is their final time around to make some sort of amends or corrections for what they've done all night. The 093 of Kyle Dersham looking to get involved with Jed Cotterman. He wants that P2 position back. He's going to be a little squirmy coming out of that corner, just a little early on the throttle. And that's going to be a big, big momentum hit to Kyle Dersham. And it might open the door for Kenneth Coping if those mistakes can compound. Jamie MacArthur is going to be behind him. It looks like the gap to Kenneth Coping might be just a little too big, and a very unfortunate ending to the season for Jeff Sanders. He could not work his way up the grid timely enough to get to Jed Cotterman. But as the 55 BMW makes his way around the final few corners, he now starts the back straight on what will be his final time around. Kyle Smith has been a very impressive driver for Turn 3 Esports. He's been a very impressive driver to watch here in the Breaking Bad GT3 series. This is going to be his second race win of the season. Kyle Smith in the 55 is going to bring it home here at Sebring. And behind him is going to be your championship winner. It took him 8 weeks to get it done, but the longevity, the consistency is what paid off in the end. Ladies and gentlemen, your championship winner, Jed Cotterman. Ice cold. He doesn't even care. Look at the camera. Look at the reaction. He doesn't even care. It's light work for Jed Cotterman in the Breaking Bad GT3 series here. It's been a fun one. And Jed Cotterman, I mean, he deserves it, man. He has been consistent and he has been fast.
Just absolutely dominant performance from Kyle Smith, tonight's race winner, and for Jed Cotterman, as you said, took 8 weeks to become champion, but consistency, being cool under pressure, and was happy just finishing ahead of Jeff Sanders. He wanted a podium to celebrate as well, and worked his way up to P2, so he was not afraid to get his elbows out and fight his way up from that 4th place starting position to finish P2 and seal the championship as a byproduct of it.
And Jed Cotterman going to do his cool down lap here. He's going to try to bring it home as fast as he can. You know, he wants to burn it down. He's going to give the 55 BMW of Kyle Smith there a little bit of a love tap. Another Turn 3 Esports driver. Turn 3 as a whole did very well tonight. Jed Cotterman in that Porsche, obviously doing very well as well. He has won the championship here in the Breaking Bad GT3 series. It's been one heck of a road, and he can now etch his name in the victory column. That's going to be 2 times on the season. He got podiums. That was not the problem. He is no stranger to the podiums, but he now ties up Jeff Sanders for 2 wins apiece. And I mean, wow. It was so close between him and Sanders, and it just is. It's consistency. I know I'm preaching on it, I'm harping on it, but that really is what it is at the end of the day. It's just consistency.
Absolutely. And we've got Jed Cotterman in our waiting room. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview here to talk about his P2 race finish and his championship victory.
Yes, sir. Jed Cotterman in the booth. Mac and Zen, you got a copy?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Sorry, wrong button.
Nah, you're good, man. Well, tell me how it felt. You had 60 minutes. The stars were aligning pretty early on in the race. Tell me, how did it feel having to sit there and just lock in and not mess up for 60 whole minutes?
You know the first lap when I kind of got doored by Kyle and I lost a couple positions, I was like, "Here we go. This is the kind of race it's going to be." But you know, I'm notorious for talking to myself and just telling myself, breathe, slow down, be patient, whatever, and we'll get through it. And that's what we did, man. So you know, in typical Jed fashion, I didn't start with enough fuel. So I had to pit a little early, but you know, man, it all worked out. I think for a season finale, it doesn't get any better than this. I cannot tell you how much fun I had. The two Kyles, um well, one Kyle, you know, he was just gone, nobody even saw him. And but Kyle and Jamie, and there was one more person I think I was racing with. Man, it was just, you know, I would be a little faster this lap and then I'd lose it, then I'd be a little faster and then I'd lose it. So it I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know how I ran him down. Dre was telling me my tires were shot and I would just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think Kyle maybe made a mistake or got an off track or something, and I was able to catch him in traffic. But you know, the rest is history, man. It was I couldn't have asked for a better way to finish the race other than you know, winning it. But I'll take my season one championship and figure out what car I want to run next year.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next question. I don't mean to take your attention away from this, historic and good feat you got going here, but looking forward to next season, is that something you're looking to run? Are you going to come in and try to, solidify and defend your championship?
Oh man, there's no other way. You got to. I'm not gonna sit back and watch. Heck no. I think I'm gonna come back in the BMW or the Corvette. This was actually the first time I've ever ran the Porsche for an extended amount of time, and I got really comfortable with it. But it's just so much different than the front engines that I'm used to. And man, these damn Mustangs at Sebring on these straights, it's like, bye, catch you in the next turn. It's unreal. But I'm definitely coming back to defend. Absolutely.
Well, that is good to hear. We're going to let you celebrate your championship, but before we get you out of here, the floor is yours, man. Anyone you would like to thank or shout out for the performance this season? I mean, you're a championship winner, I'm sure. The list is extensive. The floor is yours.
You know, man. First and foremost, you know, like there is no league without the guys that run in it. I don't know where everybody's been, whether it's still recuperating from the holidays or they don't have the tracks. I'd like to see us get that participation back up to 30 or close to 30. But you know, kudos to the guys who show up week in and week out. We've been averaging what's 16 to 20, which, you know, it's a very respectable field, but I'd like just that much more. Shout out to you guys. I always go back and watch the broadcast. I did a poll in the Discord, and everybody wants you guys to come back. So we got to figure that part out of it with Rob. But I think that's it, man. I got to thank the guys that I work with who know how much I love racing. And one guy, Jeremiah, he got me out a little early tonight so I could rush home and make the start of the race. So it's a collaborative effort with everybody. And yeah, I think the February 21st, my birthday, is scheduled to be the next race for season 2. So put that on your calendars. Like and subscribe to Racer Nexus and the Cotterman Racing team. You know, shout out to everybody. But that's it, buddy. Go on to speak to them.
Well, we appreciate the kind words as always. We're going to let you get out of here and celebrate your championship winner for season number 1 of the Breaking Bad GT3 series, Jed Cotterman.
Thank you, guys.
And I believe now Zen has gotten down to pit road. He is going to be talking to your third place finisher here tonight, Kyle Dersham.
Yeah, as you said, Kyle Dersham, tonight's third place winner. Kyle, how was the Mustang feeling for you out there? It looked pretty fast.
It felt really good. Uh, really struggled in the tight hairpin there where Jed passed me. I just can't get it in there as deep as he could.
In those closing laps when you were fighting Jed, what was your thought process like, knowing that Jed was kind of the champion elect, if you will? Were you nervous about having a entanglement with him, or were you just racing him like normal? What was your mentality like battling with him in those closing stages?
I definitely didn't want to wreck him. But I didn't want to give up the spot either. I was just trying to take up as much track as I could. Hope I could hold him off for another 2 laps.
Just 2 laps too many. But with the season 1 coming to an end, looking forward to season 2. I guess the first question is, are you coming back? And the follow-up question is, are you going to be in the Mustang again?
Yeah, I plan on it.
Awesome.
I really like the Mustang. Feels good.
Awesome. Well, it was looking rapid in your hands tonight at Sebring. And before we let you go, is there any sponsors or family or friends that you'd like to give a shout out to?
My buddies at Turn 3 Esports and Caro Designs for hooking me up with the wrap earlier today.
Well, the wrap was looking as good as your driving was out there. So congrats on the P3 and the season finale race. And we'll look forward to seeing you in season 2.
All right. Thanks, guys.
That was Kyle Dersham, and moving into the booth now is going to be race winner here tonight, 2-time winner on the season, the number 55 BMW driver of Kyle Smith. Kyle, you got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
It was, kind of a boring night for you, honestly. Just walk me through it, how it felt checking out, and did you have any trouble, staying locked in? Did you get some of that leader's complacency? Did you have a few corners where you thought, whoa, if I keep doing that, I might lose this lead?
To answer your question, I mean, these guys they kept pressure on me that whole till I pitted. I don't know what I did differently, but I gained like 8 seconds in the pit stop. I don't know how or why, but those guys had pressure on me that whole first fuel stint. Like, I don't know what I did differently there. So, I mean, it wasn't exactly like walk in the park. Like, I was stressed out that whole first fuel stint. And then, like, afterwards, I just kind of tried to lock myself in. Like, I mean, I'm gonna laugh, but the guys in the Discord call I was in with, they were laughing at me. This guy's leading and he's over here singing songs. So yeah, I mean, I was just trying to stay locked in, trying to stay focused, try not to break my concentration. But there were a couple times that was sketchy getting in the sunset that I could have wrecked the whole car and totaled it.
Well, you didn't, and you drove it very well for the entirety of the 60 minutes here tonight. Now, due to participation, joining the league a little late, not being in every race, you didn't really get to make a championship stand, but you're a 2-time winner. You've got some podiums under your belt as well. Do you see yourself running in the Breaking Bad GT3 series next season when it starts up on February 21st?
Right now, my plans are, yes, I'm gonna run. I'm planning on running the full season. So I'm hoping, like, I want to give Jet a good run at that title battle.
Well, I'm sure you can. I mean, your pace is rapid. Your pace was rapid at Daytona. It was rapid at Long Beach. It is rapid here at Sebring. And before we let you get out of here, is there anybody you would like to shout out or thank for the performance here tonight?
I want to thank guys over at T3 Esports, or Turn 3 Esports, sorry. I'll pronounce it right or else they'll give me trouble. Just hanging out all the time with them. Those guys are a great group of guys. Take anyone into their arms. Kyle Dersham, I know he probably won't say this, but I've been racing with him for probably 5 years, 6 years. Actually, it's probably 7 years, actually, because we go back to console days together. So, I mean, we've been racing together a long time, too, me and Kyle Dersham. So, um, really, I want to give a shout out to you guys, and I want to give a shout out to the organizers of this league. Without you two, without both of you guys, we couldn't do this. Without any of the fans, without any of the other drivers, we couldn't do this. I want to give a shout. Like that's who I want to shout out. The other drivers in this league are what make this league possible to happen.
Yeah, well,
It's not just one person.
Yeah, very, very wise and kind words. I appreciate the love and support for the broadcast. Hopefully we can get something done to be back here next season. And if that is so, I hope to see you on the podium next season. And I agree. I think you could give Jed Cotterman a run for his money when he comes back to defend that championship title. But Kyle Smith, number 55 BMW driver, we're going to let you get out of here and celebrate. And hopefully we see you back here next season.
Yep. Catch you guys later, man.
Well, Zenny, that's going to do it for us here at Sebring. It was a wonderful time, and although you didn't get to see the Breaking Bad series in its entirety, did you have a fun time? Did you like what you saw?
Yeah, I think the racing in this league is fantastic. I think they're in a fantastic position moving into season 2. Definitely encourage anybody that was watching that wants to be a part of it to find that Discord link in the description. Hop in. You've got about a month or so before the next season kicks off, and so just from seeing the chat discussions that have happened in between races and everything, it seems to be a very respectable group of guys. And so, the racing speaks for itself. It was very close battles. It took all 8 weeks to figure out who the champion was going to be. So no one person is really running away with things, which is a very good thing to see from a competition level standpoint. So, the track list for next season is fantastic. It's a lot of fantastic tracks from what I saw on the schedule. It's shaping up to be an excellent season. So I was quite impressed by what I saw. These guys put on week in, week out that I was able to be a broadcast or commentator for. So very well done to Jed and company on getting this thing off the ground and getting the first season in the books. And to Jed, congratulations on the championship. To all the race winners, congratulations. And, best of luck moving forward into season 2. It's only onwards and upwards from here.
Well said on behalf of Zen. I couldn't have said it better myself, so I won't. We'll go on to your race results here tonight. Kyle Smith in that number 55 BMW did take away the win, but P2 Jed Cotterman ended up bringing home the championship title here tonight. And then from there, Dersham is your final spot on the podium. And then it goes to Coping, MacArthur, Crosby, Sanders, Betts, Sanford, Strong, Thompson, Clark, Nelson, Brooks, Chase, Joao Baptista, and Ethan Becker closing out the grid. And that's going to do it from us here tonight up in the booth. It was me, Mac Nelson, my partner, Brian Zinn. You were watching a Breaking Bad GT3 Series I Racing League race. If you'd like your league broadcasted, please go down below and contact our boss, Rob Campbell. We can get something worked out there. If you are interested in joining the Breaking Bad GT3 series, the Discord link will be in the description as well. You can join. Season 2 will open up on February 21st. Big shout out to Apex Sim Racing for partnering up with the Racer Nexus Broadcast Network. You can use code Racer Nexus for 5% off all your sim racing accessories that you get off of that website. Also, big shout out to Track Cams for Gourmets. That's trackcams22.com for all the car and track cameras you see here and on all of the Racer Nexus Network broadcast. Oof. Man, that was a lot. That's going to do it for us, guys. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll see you in the next one.